Don't lose heart. Guys, have you ever been discouraged, felt cast down, broken, worthless, forgotten, and that nobody cares about you through this thing called life? I have many times. How do you feel when you pray and things still didn't turn out the way you wanted? Did you get mad at the preacher? Did you get mad at your friends or family? Did you get mad at yourself? Or did you get mad at God? I've been there and done that. I know exactly how many of you feel. I honestly do not know why God seems to answer prayers some of the time, but not every time in the way we think things should have turned out. I suppose if I had the answer, I'd probably be some kind of best-selling author somewhere. In Acts chapter 12, we find where James, the brother of John, had been executed. When King Herod saw how much the Jewish people liked it, King Herod had the apostle Peter arrested. Here we find Peter is chained between two guards, yet he was sound asleep in a prison cell. Talk about having the shalom peace of God. As far as Peter knew, he was going to be executed the same as James had been. It's amazing how Peter was not sweating it out, but instead, he was soundly sleeping. Now bear in mind, the same folks who had been praying for James had started praying for Peter as soon as they learned of his arrest. Here we find an angel came and released Peter from his cell. In fact, the angel had to strike Peter to even get him to wake up. When Peter finally woke up, he realized, hey, this is the real deal. So, God set him free that night. Some people may wonder, why was James executed, yet Peter was delivered? The same prayers were being lifted up before God for both men. There are so many of us that ask, why God? Whatever you do, don't ever quit believing. I suppose if we are asking questions, perhaps we should ask ourselves why Jesus had to be beaten and scourged and then crucified. It was part of God's plan. It was God's perfect will. I believe one day we will know the answers to all of our questions. But for now, I decided long ago that God has a master plan for my life and yours. In fact, I like to say it like this: God has the master's plan for each of us. In Hebrews chapter 11, we read about many of the heroes of faith. Some were mighty in battle, and some were tortured. I love the story from Daniel chapter 3. It's in reference to the 3 Hebrews about to be thrown into the fiery furnace. They told the king that God was able to save them. But they also said, but even if God doesn't, they still would not bow down to the king's statue. Of course, most of us know the story. God did deliver them. I've always tried to remember that phrase of saying, even if. Guys, I try to remember that fear says what if, but faith says even if. Meaning, even if things didn't turn out favorably for me, I know deep in my heart that God is with me every step of my life. I also remember that all things still work together for my good. We can read from Romans 8:28 that says, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. Guys, even if we live to be 100 years old, this life is but a mist, a vapor. This present suffering will one day end. And one day, as Jesus is now, we will be like him. I'm preaching to myself more than anyone else. I hang on to Psalm 30:5 that says, for his anger endureth but a moment. In his favor is life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. Guys, Jesus is coming soon. I want to be ready, rapture ready. Much love and Maranatha.